And you always have to start one of these action books with one of those grabber lines, okay? The two best ones are taken. I am born. That's Charles Dickens and David Copperfield. The other one is Call Me Ishmael. I have a Jewish friend who wrote a detective book and he started his Call Me Schlemiel. Anyway, I got 2 words to start mine. I got down from 3. Buggered. Lieutenant Richardson raised his head above the top of a low wall. Droplets trickling down his plexiglass visor distorted his view. Narrow red brick terrace houses, 2 boarded up. Black stains above the sashes where fires had raged after a riot. A green, white and gold tricolour hanging limply from a distant upper story window, proclaiming the Republican sympathies of the neighbourhood. The deserted neighbourhood. The citizens had been cleared out, because at the far end of the street to Richardson's left, an ordinary-looking blue van was parked. Ordinary-looking and potentially deadly as a grumbling volcano. He could see the rust streaks showing through the blue paint. The bomb disposal robot, known as the wheelbarrow, stood stolidly beside the van. The voice of the sergeant ammunition technician came over the headphones, tinny and distorted. It's the wheelbarrow, sir. This sodding thing's stuck. Hang on, Sergeant. Lieutenant Marcus Robinson, Ammunition Technical Officer, 321 Explosives Ordnance Disposal Company, Royal Army Ordnance Corps, started to sweat, despite the chill drizzle that misted his helmet's visor and darkened the fabric of his massive EOD heavy suit. His chest armour rose in a hollow arc in front of his mouth and was reinforced by a thicker pad over his lower abdomen and genitals. Behind, a wide tail hung down below the backs of his knees, and he crouched, bulky as the Michelin Man. What seems to be the trouble, Sergeant? As Lieutenant Richardson spoke calmly into the built-in microphone, he peered at the wheelbarrow. He could make out its caterpillar tracks and the hydraulic rams that drove its articulated arm. The dark green of the cylinders contrasted sharply with the silver pistons. Nothing moved. At the end of the arm, the lock-busting gun dangled over the van's roof, lifeless as a corpse on a gibbet. The angled arm and pig stick reminded him of a vulture, waiting, silent. Dunno, sir. Bloody thing won't respond to commands again. The jack-in-the-box is on the fritz. There's no picture. The transmitter's at it again. Without the closed-circuit TV, the jack-in-the-box, Marcus might as well be blind. This was the second time this week the thing had malfunctioned, and a Sergeant Crowley, 15 years with the unit, couldn't sort out the problem. No one could. Certainly not a 26-year-old lieutenant on his first tour in Northern Ireland. A lieutenant who was ATO in charge of an inoperable robot would have to go in, find the bomb, and render it harmless. Right, Sergeant, he said, pull the men back, and Marcus turned and waited as the other members of the team climbed into the modified Mercedes-Benz they used for transport. He caught a glimpse of the unit's Felix the Cat sticker on the driver's door. Felix the cartoon cat was impervious to all explosions and was a good luck charm of the company, so well known in the security forces that his name was the team's radio call sign. Ammunition technical officers were not as invincible as Felix. His hands were chilled and he rubbed them together to restore the circulation. What would it be this time? The provisional IRA favoured a homemade mixture of amyl nitrate fertilizer and sunflower. It was fairly stable. It might be dynamite. Not too bad, unless it was poor quality and it sweated nitroglycerin. He kept on rubbing his hands because numb fingers would be no help finding and removing the detonator, and mercury tilt switches were tricky. The slightest movement would make the liquid metal run the full length of the glass and complete the circuit. Then it was, in military parlance, stand in line, wings, angels for the use of, pair one. He took comfort from the thought that if there was a timer, it would probably be set for some time ahead. "How's it going, sir?" The tinny voice came over the headphones. "Bugger off, Sergeant," he said. "I need to concentrate." "Sorry, sir." Marcus checked his equipment. Simple stuff. A couple of screwdrivers, non-conducting pliers, wire cutters, insulating tape. He taped the tools to the cuffs of the suit, the heavy suit, and hauled himself to his knees. Finally, he pivoted to face the wall. He raised his head, protected in its futuristic carapace above the concrete coping stone. He noticed soft moss growing where mortar between had cracked. He could see the rows of stunted terrace houses, their slate roofs glistening in what was now a steady downpour. Belfast in February was not quite April in Paris. He ran his tongue over dry lips, listened to the faint, rapid hammering of his bloodstream, and held both hands in front of his visor. Steady as a pair of rocks, but soft, unprotected rocks. As he pushed himself up, the screwdriver taped to his left cuff caught on a piece of masonry and clattered to the pavement, and he froze. Unexpected noises were always troubling, very troubling. Craning to see over his chin piece, he dipped his head beneath the top of the wall. The blinding intensity of the light was followed immediately by the roar of the explosion. The shock wave shattered the wall and bowled Marcus over onto the pavement, where he lay on his back like a stranded beetle, while soft rain and hard bricks fell on his chest. The thumping of masonry against armour gave counterpoint to the chime and tinkle of glass tumbling from shattered windows. He had just enough time to mutter, "Oh shit," before a coping stone slammed into his helmet and turned out the lights. So, I didn't hear a single laugh. Thank you, Harry. So that's
quite different.
Say again?
That's quite different.
It's a totally different side of Patrick Taylor, you're absolutely right. I don't know, it's an experiment for me. I had a very deep need when I started doing this, because there's a certain comfort and ease in writing about what you know, which is medicine. To see if I could craft a story that would interest people that had nothing to do with my technical training. Now the question is, would any of you buy that book? You would, thank you. How does it feel to be in a minority of one? Sorry, I'm having terrible trouble.
The thing that strikes me as interesting is that your doctor books, I'm guessing, would probably have something like a 70-30 female-male split. What you're writing here is almost a reversal of that. I don't know whether, in fact, I'm coming from a masculine point of view. I like very much what you just wrote. I thought it was very strong. It was clearly coming from the heart. I don't think it's going to have anywhere near the same audience, but I don't think that's the reason why you shouldn't write it and publish it.
Thank you. I appreciate your opinion very much. It's always nice to have your own opinion shared. No. Because I've been, not fighting, but I've been discussing with my publisher for some time, and he's terrified I'm going to turn off my audience who like this cuddly doctors. I don't think so. I think when people find an author they like, they'll probably read a lot of what that author writes. I think most people are smart enough to read the blurb and pick up the book and say, I don't want to read a thriller by this man. I mean, I don't think I'm going to turn anybody off, because release will be as always. I have a new doctor book for next October. I'll be standing here reading the damn thing next October. This will be coming out in June for people to take on the boat or to the country. But I thank you for listening. I'm sorry to put you through it, so to speak.
Well,
But
actually, I might like to read that book also, I mean, from a woman's point of view. Because it's about, because it's in historical fact. It's based on, it's like something that we've all lived through, and I don't know that much about, but because it was factual, I would probably be interested in reading it. And because you wrote it, of course.
Thank you. Harry.
Have you finished the book, Patrick?
Oh God, it's actually being published, Harry. It's out there.
Oh, wow.
It was, and Nick is being overly kind because I wrote it 1998 and I couldn't get it published. And Nick Bantic was generous enough to help me find an agent who did get it published in 2000. And I'm sure it sold a good, 50, maybe 60 copies. A certain amount of hubris, a certain amount of pride in how I wrote that book. And I was very flattered by the review in the Globe and Mail, where the reviewer said, Taylor has not written this book to demonise people in Ireland, but to try to explain it. And that's really what it's a bit about, okay?
Could you distinguish between the process of writing this and writing one of your country doctor books? Was it much more difficult?
The amount of research I had to do, I have to tell, this is a wonderful story. I think so. What does a broken down old medical researcher know about plastic explosive? But I was a prof at UBC, so you go to the source. You may have noticed I have a thick Northern Ireland accent. We shall call him Professor Smith, okay? Yes, Professor Smith's secretary, this is Professor Taylor. How can I help you, Professor Taylor? I'd like to talk to Professor Smith, who works in chemical engineering. I have a question. And what would your question be, sir? Well, I want to ask him about plastic explosives. I did that. I was put in touch, quite fortuitously, with the, I forget their titles, the head man in the RCMP. I don't remember their titles. No, not cause and effect. You know, there wasn't a boy in a Smokey the Bear hat outside my office saying, come with me, sir. And he put me in touch with a wonderful man, Master Corporal Yves Pelletier, who was the head of the bomb disposal for RCMP. And he came out to Vancouver when the G8, I think, was meeting to do a bomb sweep out at UBC. And as a matter of courtesy, I took Eve out for dinner. Actually took him to the Irish Cellar for a pint of Guinness, steak kidney pie. The reason I wanted to talk to him was I didn't want to put anything in the book that the lads who were making things go bang in the north of Ireland didn't already know. Okay? And Eve brought me their t-shirt. And it's I've outgrown it, I can't wear it anymore. But it's black. And it's got a little man like Guy Fawkes on the front, with one of those anarchist spherical bombs with the flames coming out of his back. And it says on the front, I am a bomb disposal technician. And it says on the back, if you see me running, try to keep up. All right. Yes?
As maybe one of the few people in the room who's read all of your books, I'd like to say that what I notice about your books, about the Troubles, that's very similar to your other writing about the Irish country doctor, is that you write in the same way, your character development. So it's not just about a man who's out in the military and bombs and all of these types of things. It's you learn to care about the characters. There's a love story in there, and there's lots to like in there that's not just about conflict and what's happening. And I think that maybe first chapter doesn't show you all of that, but it's still your writing. It's just about a different topic, which isn't as soft as doctors in the country.
Thank you for that vote of thanks, Karen. I do appreciate it. Aye.